There's a war out there, old friend. A world war. And it's not about who's got the most bullets. It's about who controls the information. What we see and hear, how we work, what we think. It's all about the information.
You want a war? You got a war. And there's no looking back. There's no forgetting. And there's no forgiving. I can see it all clearly now. The more we build, the more haters try to tear it down. The more we build. Now you listen to me. All of you. You hoodlums don't own these streets.
So, as promised, finally, I have a little bit of time to do this. And I'm actually putting this on the main Covert Radio channel, just so you guys know that these videos will be on Covert Radio, The Barracks. These are the live comment review that I said I was going to do a long time now. This is actually not the first one, but this will be the first published one. Again, the concept behind these are this. You know, the majority of people access YouTube with small devices, phones, tablets, things like that. And, you know, a lot of these comments, because we touch subjects that, you know, evokes a lot of passion from people, and there's so many insightful and good comments that are just so intelligent, and they need to be read. And I know that using a phone, accessing the comment section is a pain in the ass to, you know, start scrolling down through literally thousands of lines of text. So Covert Radio, The Barracks, is again just a live comment review response channel. Every day, every couple days, what I'm going to do is, and this is the first one, I'm going to start with, you know, the newest to the oldest comments. Now, I'm still going to comment on the video itself, but this is basically for people who don't want to sit and read and read and read and scroll and read to try to go through different comments. The other thing too is I'm going to try to keep these videos within 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. So, you know, they're real quick. You get an update. And another thing is this. I'm probably not going to cover every single comment. You know, it just depends. So I'm sure time would be an issue with that. But here we go. I'm just going to jump right into it. And again, this is from the newest to the oldest. Let's see here. Mad Black Atheist, Coon God. Funny, he's the first comment that I see here, but he says, I never told you that shit, you liar. I said I don't care what you say about Tommy, but I'm sick of the flag and shit. Really, dude? Really? Okay. Is that a fact? You're Jack. All right. Let's see something here, NBA. See, because while I'm looking for this, I might as well tell everybody, see, this is the beauty of not being a liar. I'm not going to sit here and make hour-long videos filled with lies. I have no desire to mislead anyone. You know, and normally if I lie, it's so I don't hurt somebody else's feelings. Normally that's when I lie, but I that is such a pet peeve of mine. I don't lie. And you're going to call me a liar? Okay, let me read this again. I never told you that shit, you liar. You never told me what, NBA? You never told me what, huh? Let me see here. Where's this at? So I guess what you're referring to is this section of my bin troll Laden video that I stated that you said. This is why you're calling me a liar. This is a clip from that video. And here's what I loved about your video. You're telling me that I have no right to be critical of Tommy Sotomayor. Listen to what I'm telling you. Covert radio, you don't have no right to tell Tommy what he can do and he can say. Well, what makes you think you have the right to tell me what I can do and what I can say? Hypocrite, you don't see it? Come on, man. Okay, so that's straight out of this video. And again, you're going to call me a liar. You said, I never told you that shit, you liar. Oh, you never told me that. Here's what I'm responding to, NBA. Now tell me you didn't say it.
So, let's get to the pointing. This first person, Covert Radio, before he, I guess you could say, got big, he was all over different black sector live streams, all over YouTube, doing what he does.
Run shit.
My problem with him is he's trying to censor speech. You can dislike what someone says, Mr. Covert. You can dislike it, you can even hate it. But you don't have a right to tell someone that they don't have a right to speak. You don't have a right to try to get another organization to cancel out, stop, or get rid of someone else's right to speak.
No, what, NBA? What? What's that? My exact words. You're telling me that I don't have a right to be critical of Tommy Sotomayor or speak out against him. But yet you fail to see the hypocrisy of what you're saying. You're stating right here what you want me to say. You're telling me that I don't have the right. Exactly what I said in my video. And you're calling me a liar? Dude, these are your own words. This is what I responded to. And you don't see the hypocrisy in this. Okay.
And that's what you routinely do on your show. And I noticed in your comment section, you have a lot of black women. You're two things that black women seem to love a lot. You're a white man, and you're telling black women that you're taking up for them.
Am I? Jeez. Where's the video where I said that? Produce the video where I said, black women, I'm taking up for you because nobody else will. Never said it. Never said it. See, you're projecting, NBA. That's what you're you're projecting. You're projecting. All I speak is truth. All I speak is truth. And bone-crushing, brutally honest observations. So, your fantasy that I'm piled up with all the black women in the world and we're going to take all the black men offline. I mean, dude, do I even have to say it again? Strike number 2, NBA. Strike 2. Don't call me a liar, dude. I'm not a liar. I just proved that. I responded to you telling me I don't have the right to talk about Tommy, but you're going to tell me I don't have the right. Okay? You're being a hypocrite. I just played your own words, okay? That sucks. That was the first comment. Here we go. Art of Treasury 111. Is it me or does the troll face Tommy look 10 times better than the actual Tommy? If this is the case, that is a shame. Chiseled jawline, clean teeth, and eyes. Yep. I see a shirt in the near future with troll face Tommy. There's a message from True Freeman. So Covert, are you going to sit there and allow my address to continually be posted in your chat? All because of free speech? Just wondering, dude. And I even said this. My response was, I wish that these couple instances you saw, True, of your address being posted, I wish it was that simple. Dude, I'm not kidding you, 50 to 60 removed comments, including your address, since 10 seconds after I posted this video live. I'm not your enemy, True. I'm not your enemy, bro. I don't know. I hear so much shit. This is going on, and True Freeman said that. What are you going to do? I don't know. Like, as far as I know, dude, we're on the same team. Nothing, I don't know what, I don't know. I'll tell you this, though, publicly, even though I send you emails and things that, I would prefer stay between us, but I can tell you this, it's highly unlikely that your address will show up again in my chat. I took steps. I'm not going to tell you. You probably know what I'm talking about, but it's not going to show up. So people are going to have to figure out a new way to try to get your attention, because that's why they do this, dude. That's why they do this. They know it drives you crazy. And then when you acknowledge it, that's like a score for them. But bro, we're on the same team, man. I have no problems. I'm trying, bro. I'm trying. I'm so busy every day. I would literally have to Hawkeye. And what they do is they comment under every single person's comment. So, some of these comments have 9, 10, 15, 20s. I've even seen them as high as 80 to 100 responses. So by the time a video makes its rounds, there could be 1,000 comments, and they will go through every single comment. And even if there's 80 buried replies, they'll slide it in there. Believe me, I've caught about 50 to 60 since this video went live. But I try, bro. And I don't have a staff. I don't have somebody to, sit here and watch my video comment sections live. So, but again, I took steps. This shouldn't be a problem. Bowman says, I hope Sotomayor goes broke. Did you see Tommy's interview with Dave Rubin? What are your thoughts on it? Well, dude, I did see some of it. It's just Tommy is a chameleon. He's very dangerous. I've mentioned the scenario of the most dangerous people wear $2,000 suits, and I swear to you, I believe that. In fact, I know that the most dangerous people wear $2,000 suits, and Tommy is that suit. He can go put on a $2,000 suit and appear to be sane. He can appear to have compassion. He can appear to care. He can appear to be informed on several different topics, which he is. To know that the polar opposite of that is this maniac, it's very dangerous, very dangerous. And then when you want to include the manipulation factor that Tommy possesses, where I'm just giving you an example that is a true to form sociopathic trait, that you constantly are tweaking the way you maneuver in society so that you can blend in, you can operate. He's very, very, very attuned to normality, even though he's one of the most dangerous people that I've ever come into contact with like this. And that's my opinion. So, but did I watch it? I watched some of it. Again, it's smoke and mirrors. It's the whole I'm normal, and it's just, I don't know. I can't watch too much stuff like that because I don't have I don't have an unbiased opinion. You know what I mean? So I don't even waste my time. That type of show is for people who are just tuning in, who've never seen Tommy Sotomayor before. not somebody who's scraping Tommy Sotomayor off the bottom of his shoe like I am. So, New Life says, as always, excellent. There is no way a plane can level buildings like that. I wanted to bring up another person the media is using. What do you think of Stephen Hawking? I totally understand why you don't elaborate on all your topics. You want everyone to think for themselves. So much truth, brother. New Life, I love you. And we've connected, you know what I mean? We've connected in several different ways, but you're 100% right. I do want people to think. I want to kind of just, tickle that part of your brain and kind of get you in that area. Because, see, if you noticed when I opened up this video, I talked about the power of our brains and truly how misunderstood our brains are to this day. Backs and brains, that is the most complex human thing that we possess. Your back and your brain. In science still, there's so much room for advancement and learning, but the mind, the brain, does compartmentalize many, many different things. And I'm on to something that I'm personally been investigating for about 2 years. And when I get a little bit more info on it and I get to maybe package it in a certain way, I'm going to do a whole show about it. Because I have a feeling that they're the controllers. They've figured out that different compartments of your brain can be accessed at different times. And there's certain things that can access those, that can cause those parts of your brain to awaken. And I'm not going to get all into it right now, but, just like the algorithms for Google, you could be so deep in a subject and your whole YouTube page is filled up with all related content. And then next thing you know, you'll click on something and then a whole new world opens up. It's like they're trying to, manipulate another compartment in your brain to go down that road. And it could be, like for me, it's always comedy. Like they always try to my algorithm, I should say, not them, but, a computer. It seems like I'm constantly being sidetracked like a fish on a hook where it's like Family Guy or... South Park or, what? It's just funny things, Will Ferrell stuff, because he makes me laugh. Like, and then it's an hour later and I'll be like, what was I doing? You know what I mean? I don't know. But what do I think about Stephen Hawking? I honestly think that Stephen Hawking is a full-blown retard. And I'm not making fun of him. I believe he has mental retardation. And, there is a theory out there, and I've explained this in one of my videos, that Stephen Hawking not only has MS, but he has an advanced form of mental retardation. And he is a representation of human intelligence. It's a big mockery. It's a big joke to the Jews and the controllers. They put this guy out there, basically paralyzed, just looking a mess. And I'm just being honest. I know it's mean to say that, but I'm being honest. He's a very scary looking man. You take a child to see Stephen Hawking, you know what I mean? They look at him through a child's eyes and you will see sort of like a very intimidating, monsterish type person. Then when the voice kicks in, it's like, oh my God, this is like a nightmare. But I genuinely believe that Stephen Hawking, even though there is a history on him, and I'm throwing up quotations, somebody's story about Stephen Hawking and how he was a physicist and he broke ground at this university. And okay, sure, anybody can write a story like that, but the reality is all we know is what we see. And, Stephen Hawking, I genuinely believe, is just a joke, and he's out there. The information that is broadcast from his quotations from his mind are actually the controllers. They're the ones that are pushing an agenda, and he's right in line with that. He's just used it's a very sick game that they play with Stephen Hawking. You know, I don't believe he's a genius. I don't believe that he's this, that, and this. And truthfully, I could do a whole show about Einstein, about Hawking, and all of these men that have been put up on a pedestal. Darwin and, you know, all these people that only pushed the controller's agenda. That was their only purpose. And actually, like I said, I did talk about this one time in a video, but yeah, I don't really pay attention to what Stephen Hawking says. His opinions are not going to make my life better or worse. I really don't care what he says, because I don't believe that's coming from his mind. I mean, I don't. And even the technicalities of the computer being able to process words and what, all you have to do is think. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of technical gaps that are surrounding Stephen Hawking. Like, I mean, I could see if he could kind of type words like a court reporter, but he can't even do that. So how do they have the brain mapped so precisely that he could hold a live conversation with someone? You know, I could go on and on about that, but thank you. And next comment, and I'm going to try to make this super short, but this is from Vera City. I understand where you're coming from. I do not want censorship either, but I also know that private companies have the right to pull the plug on any creator, any content creator, just like corporations have the right to pull their ads from content they deem might threaten their brand. That's just good business sense. And I agree with that, Vera. I agree with that 100%. I believe Tommy has the right to do and say all kinds of things like a loon that he is on the street and on his own website. But he finally took it too far on what was basically his employer's website. Brilliant, Vera. You're right. Brilliant. He basically took it too far on what's basically his employer's website, and he managed to, pardon the phrase, shit where he ate. Let me stop there, Vera. Brilliant. Yes, I agree with you. That's a brilliant way to look at this, because technically, you know, Tommy and all content creators who get paid from Google basically work for Google, and Google is a private company. So you walk into work and there's rules. There's rules at work. Tommy has crossed and broken and ignored and took advantage of every single one of the YouTube community guidelines. And what's he always say? Free speech. Free speech. Okay? It's almost like, you know, and this has happened to me a couple times in my life, that there's been a chance of unionization coming into a company. And you want to see a complete change in protocol, a complete crackdown in rules, regulations, and work agreements, all kinds of things. Be a part of bringing a union into a company, and they will fly union busters in from the headquarters within 2 days and start having people follow you and have side conversations. And I've been through that twice, 2 times. Look at Walmart. I mean, anybody could take the time and research what happens to Walmart employees who talk about unionizing. And the Walmart goon squad comes out and they go crazy. So they're called union busters. You know, supposedly there's a jet on call 24 hours a day from Benton, Arkansas, or wherever it is, and they're ready to go at the first hint of an employee talking about unionizing. So I agree with you, Vera. That's brilliant. You're right. Tommy, he can stand on the street corner. He can do it from his website, but not on a public platform. Especially when you have to follow guidelines if you expect to be paid. I agree with you. So back to her comment. I like to think a progressive, forward-thinking, and civilized society can detect the difference between Tommy's inciting hate speech and someone who is merely passionate about a cause that may be unpopular. I didn't agree with the list, in quotations, of men on that lawyer's takedown Facebook site. I watch O'Shea Jackson because he's full of insight on all social matters and funny as hell. Of course, I do not agree with him on many things, but lumping him in with Tommy kind of dilutes the message. Again, Vera, I agree with you. I genuinely agree with what you just said. Tommy can say, see? It's not just me, it's these damn black bitches that hate truth being told on them. Yep, that's what it is, and we gotta stick together, fellas, against these hair-hatted hooligans. Tommy's smart. You're right, Vera. You're right. For some reason, these other fellas are letting him use them as a shield. Again, you're right, and I couldn't believe, like, MBA, what are you doing, dude? It's almost like there's a disconnection in your brain. And then to call me a liar when I have proof your own words? I mean, it's almost like there's a cord unplugged from one part of your brain to another that connects what this is really about. You're going to take up for Tommy. O'Shea took up for Tommy. Don't you understand? But she goes on to say they haven't figured that one out yet. Or, she hasn't figured that one out yet. Tommy is in a whole different class and should be treated as such. I hate to think it's all or nothing. Well, again, if this was a psyop the entire time, it is going to be all or nothing. She goes on to say, I'm all over the place with this. I guess what I'm saying is free speech isn't free on a private platform. Add in advertising revenue and the whole thing is a botched job. Hate speech and inciting violence should never be condoned, let alone funded. I agree with you. It is also not easily confused with just unpopular opinion, and the government needs to know we're not that stupid. They know that. I believe they know that, but they treat people like they don't know that. Like we're, I mean, even if you take any type of public speaking classes, or let alone if you get into political science, one of the first things they teach you is that you have to speak to people as if they have a 7th grade mentality. Never ever write a speech, never ever address a group of people above assuming that they only have a 7th grade education. That's from the government's own mouth. So any presidential speeches you hear, or any, campaign trail speeches and all these things, or Spicer up there going on and on about this and that, the people who write this stuff write it so that people who have anything up to a 7th grade education will understand it. They will not write speeches for people above a 7th grade education. And, mix in the vaccines, the fluoride, the GMO. I mean, we're being lobotomized. And it's chemical lobotomy. If you don't believe me, I challenge anybody to look at old speeches, read old speeches from the 17th, 18th century, read some of the writings. And I guarantee you there's filled with words you've never heard, or you don't know the meaning to, or the proper use of words that have just been destroyed. I mean, what's that movie, Idiocracy or something? Watch that movie, Idiocracy, or I think it's Idiocracy, but it was made by the same dude that made Beavis and Butthead. Watch that movie, because that's where they're taking us. That's been the goal. And she goes on to say, I personally think it's a far stretch to say they used Tommy Sotomayor in an attempt to get us on board with all censorship. Tommy Sotomayor isn't big enough to threaten our civil liberties. Yeah, it's possible, Vera. It's possible. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can see how people come to that opinion. But I guess that opinion has to be based on your information of other COINTEL operations, other PSYOPs, other, false flag events, other projects, other, classified experiments, a lot of which have been declassified in the last 5 years or so. But, most well-informed people can make that decision that Tommy's just this buffoon out there screaming. To me, though, personally, and with my education and my insight and information, I guess all I can say is this. The one video I made that basically, I can't remember the exact title, but it was something like who trained Tommy Sotomayor, or, who were his handlers. I forget the exact name of the video. And I went on and I quoted a lot of definitions for different psychological operations that are tied to the government. Now, when you say government, I know a lot of people get the image in their mind of like the Capitol in Washington, D.C., but the reality is, since 9/11, the government is spread out basically into every single city, 3 to 4 to 5 to 10 times per state in different locations. So, there are different government facilities and government teams and government think tanks and companies who have government contracts. They all work for the government. So at the end of the day. So, I mean, to say that Tommy Sotomayor is being handled by somebody straight out of the Capitol Dome, yeah, that's a far stretch to envision. But if you're talking about a little think tank with about 10 to 15 employees who have a government contract for social media, psychological warfare, social media, influential techniques, social media, blah, 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 blah. And see, this is all dealing with, fourth generation warfare, what I talked about in this video. Trust me when I tell you, there are little companies that have government contracts to run experiments like this. Because this type of information, is very valuable in this day and age, because we're on the battlefield right this second. We're on the battlefield. YouTube, Facebook, all the social media sites, our abilities to interact. And that's, if you want to get biblical, they destroyed it all at one point in time. In Babylon, God did not want the people to be able to work together, to communicate, to ever be able to build a tower like that again to the heavens. And similarly, this is Babylon all over again. You can install a language pack in your computer, and next thing you know, you're talking to somebody in China in your native language. They're responding in their native language, but it's being translated in real time. It's Babylon all over again. So, I don't know. It's hard to tell. But I could see how you could come to that type of conclusion. Lastly, she says, we will always have access to free speech and the exchange of thought. I don't know. Did you ever see 1984, Vera? Please either read the book or watch the movie. We will always have access to free speech and the exchange of thought. We just won't get paid to do it, and we may have to work harder to get it. But isn't that how the devil has always done it? Sure, yeah. Technology gave us that brief respite where exchange of ideas became easy. But like everything before it, the powers that be always catch on. Well, true. I agree with that. But this is a fact, and maybe a lot of people don't know this, but the internet was created by the government. It was a DoD project, the Defense Department. And the reason why they invented the internet was because the Russians launched Sputnik. And right at that moment, the United States panicked and said, wait a minute, The Russians have this thing flying above us. We can't even see it. What if they arm it? What if they militarize it? So they said, we have to figure out a way of communication that if one area goes down or one city gets demolished, we can still route information to where we need it to go. And that's when they came up with the packet technology, which is what the internet operates off of. See, we're on a small slither of what they invented. This is the World Wide Web. The actual internet is, this is part of it, but this isn't all of it. We could talk about the deep web and certain things like that, but, we're on a government-funded and government-invented, defense-invented, militarized, actually, system that they invented. So, the question is, and the real question, I guess, the scary question is, why in a million years did they call it the World Wide Web? With all the possibilities and acronyms and ways to, market it or just brand it, why web? Why not grid or, network or, something like that? They call it a web. They already gave it, from day one, they gave it, this daunting name and just filled with what do you think of when you think web? Oh, I can't get out. Oh, a spider. Oh, I'm stuck. You know what I mean? So, we could talk about this though, Vera. I love talking about stuff like this. I'm just trying to, just edit myself and keep it super short and just get straight to the point, but great comment. Let me bounce right down through these, and I'm only going to pick one or two more. Yes, this is the first one. They're all not going to be this long, but I really want to get maybe one or two more in. Buttercup says, Tommy, as an agent, this is something that never crossed my mind, but it is plausible. Absolutely, Buttercup. The signs are getting more clear. The black birds that he says hit his windows and him acting like those black turkey vultures. Oh, the signs. It is certain that more signs will be revealed. Everything is eventually revealed. Everything, Buttercup, you're right. Toby Moore says, I was in Somerset when that happened, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. About there being no plane up there. Come on, man. I can be in Somerset literally in 20 minutes. Don't tell me, dude. Don't tell me. It's such a joke, Toby, that go to Google and type Flight 93 crash. You'll see a bunch of memes with chopped up planes flying straight into the ground, and here's your plane. It's a big joke, okay? Okay, so maybe you were in Somerset, okay? I don't know. You know that one store up there, dude? The discount store? They sell all the Penguin and Pirate and Steeler gear, and they got tools. I love that place. Okay? I know Somerset, bruh. It's more than hate for Tommy Sotomayor says, good video, bro. I just done a spin-off of it too. Cuckoo. There we go. Sophia says, lots and lots of information and so true. A few years back, I had started on this journey of waking up to the agendas of this world, and I'm telling you, once your eyes start to open and you connect all the dots to all the different events and things that have happened, and the motives behind it, it changes your life forever. Absolutely, Sophia. And you can't go back. You cannot go back. Believe me. There's many times I just wish I was normal Joe Schmo. I did my 8 hours a day, drank a 6-pack when I got home, went to sleep. Next day, did it all over again. Pay my bills and save up for retirement. It's all a joke. It's an illusion. Just like the American dream. It's an illusion. It's not real. It's not real. I challenge anybody to follow your American dream and open up a restaurant. You know what I'm going to tell you? Within 3 years, you're going to go in debt and invest every single penny you have, and come to the realization that you cannot compete with Wall Street. It's a big joke. And the Small Business Administration, they'll tell you, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we'll go ahead and give you a loan at 10%. Really. They already know that you're going to fail. The food business alone is such a hard business to compete with the big boys. I mean, when you have people like McDonald's and Subway, their money is made on Wall Street. So they can sell a cheeseburger for $1 and make 3.77767 cents profit off of that cheeseburger, because the reality is all they care about are their stock investors and their ticker and how much their stock is trading for. They don't care that they're making, 3 cents off of a hamburger profit. They don't keep the lights on with that 3 cents. So to compete with these fast food restaurants that are traded on Wall Street, you're never going to do it. You're never going to make it. You're going to grind it out. It's going to be the hardest job you've ever had in your life, and you're going to fail. And there's such a high failure rate. They don't tell you that. They want to get you locked in for a $100,000 loan at 10%, and then once you figure out you can't do it, they're going to say, oh, by the way, if you don't pay us, we're going to take your tax return. And truthfully, I don't care what industry you're in. If you're not on Wall Street or launching an IPO or you have something innovative, you're not going to make it. You can't compete with Walmart. You can't compete with Lowe's. You can't compete with fast food. So if your passion and you want to be a business owner in America, if it's something in those lines, you're not going to make it. And I do plan on talking about things like that on my business channel, just from my own experiences. Okay, now I'm going to get to just one more comment here. Just going to pick the next one, and it's Yvonne Robinson. I will call you teacher. I understand. I was born that way. My isms are: 1, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. Absolutely, Yvonne. Number 2, train up a child in the way they should go, and they will never depart from it. I agree. You only have 5 years with your child. If you don't lay that foundation in 5 years, you're going to lose your child to the system. You're going to lose your child to society. And even I've seen a lot of kids fall by the wayside, and they've come from such a great family. They've had those first several years. But see, and I could do a whole show about this, about the women's rights, equal rights movement. It was all it was just a big fuck you. All it was bent around was getting women out of the house, the women's, rights movement or whatever it was. Listen, I'm not getting into that aspect of it. What I'm telling you is it was an agenda that was funded by the Rockefellers, because they wanted, again, the same people who funded and controlled the school system. Let's keep it in mind. Let's connect dots. It was all to get the women out of the house, because they want your kid as early as possible. Just like preschool now. So what, 2 years old, a year old, you want my kid to start going to school now? What? Drug them up, vaccinations, education, indoctrination. At the earliest age possible. You have 5 years developmentally with your child. If you don't lay that foundation in those 5 years, you are going to lose them to either the system or society and whatever they want to push at your children, what they continuously push on us. The whole women liberation movement or whatever it was to get the woman out of the house, get the mothers away from their children, get them into the system, get them indoctrinated. My generation, we're probably one of the last ones where both parents didn't have to work. Both my parents didn't have to work. My dad had a pretty decent job at a steel mill, but still, nonetheless. Now, if you're not working 2 or 3 jobs, you can barely rent a single bedroom apartment. See, this is all part of the continuation. And believe me, we're going to get into it. We are just going to keep going, and we're going to get into stuff like this. But it was to get the women out of the house, get them away from the children. Daddy's at work, mommy's at work, or mommy's whatever, doing her own thing. Junior gets shipped to the daycare center, then to kindergarten, then or preschool, then to kindergarten, then the first grade, and then you lose them forever. You lose them to the drugs, you lose them to pop culture, you lose them to the music, you lose them to, the trends of cutting and transgenderism and whatever else seems to be pushed onto the main stage as the new cool thing to do. But I agree with that. If you train up a child in the way they should go, and they will never depart from it. And she says that could be good or bad. True too, true. Number 3, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Absolutely right. And really, what are you waiting for? Stand for something. We got one chance at this life. Don't get twisted into the world that they've created for you. I mean, how does it make sense to live a human life slaving away 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day for pieces of paper in a soul-crushing cubicle somewhere, to not spend time with your children, to not spend time with your wife, to work and work and stress and work and work and stress just to have a little bit of the essentials, and then hope to God you can retire at age 62 and then die 5 years later. Or I'm going to wait till my golden years. That's when I'm really going to do everything. I'm going to do it all then. I'm going to start golfing and I'm going to travel. And, 65 years old, you're going to start living life. Because why? Because of a system that's been completely built around you. A completely manipulative, soul-crushing system. Live your life. Do it now. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And number 4, she says, to thine own self be true. Amen. No one reads anymore, teacher, so they are not truly learning. Truth, Yvonne, truth. I agree with you. See, and here's the thing. It's not so much because you don't read, or the majority of people don't read anymore. They get their news visually and audibly, or they get their information visually and audibly. What Yvonne just said is so true. No one reads anymore, so they're not truly learning. That is so true because, number one, and I do want to, again, this is another thing I want to talk about, neuroplasticity. And the way our brains work with learning and experiencing certain things. That's why when you read, reading causes your brain to work. And I'm not just talking about reading the words and following punctuation and things like that. I'm talking about things like this. It was shortly after 9 a.m. The dew was still glistening all through the field. After Yvonne opened the window, the fresh scent of flowers and the dew in a misty morning still slightly damp with the early morning fog. Yvonne walked up through the grassy field, the warm morning sun shining on her face, being brushed on her bare shins with the heavy laden dew that was still on the tall grass. She finally reached the top of the hill and she looked out all through the valley. And she could see the Claremont farm. She could see the Smith's farm. And she could see the little town in the distance as the church bell rung. So I could go on and on and on. But what I'm telling you is, just by me audibly telling you that, whether you try to or not, if you're focused on what I'm saying, you're envisioning what I'm saying. It's causing your brain to work. It's causing neuroplasticity. Neurons are creating pathways to different parts of your brain. But see, when you read, not only do you get the visual, you get, the audible, because most people talk to themselves in their own head while they're reading, but you also have your imagination working, because you're painting the entire picture as you read somebody's words. So I agree with you. People, they're not truly learning because they're not really reading. She goes on to say, the words are between the lines, so it is written. Yes, it is. Yes, teacher, we are cut from the same cloth. You know we are, Yvonne. I've told you that. I've known that, and I've felt that. I don't care what anybody says. You know what I mean? We have our own special little bond, as I have with so many of you wonderful, wonderful people here. We're all here for a reason. We're all connected for a reason. Don't question it. Let's just continue to go down the road. But this was the first installment. If I didn't get to your comment, it's not that I'm not reading them, or it's just I didn't get to it in this video. Like I said, my plan is to make these a lot shorter, 5 to 10 minutes, catch up on all comments. This is for people that don't want to read them, and we'll go from there. And I'll try to do these maybe once a day eventually, or a couple times a day. I don't know. I really don't know what's down the road for Covert Radio. I really don't. I know what's in my mind, and I know where I want it to go, but we'll see where we collectively take us, okay? I want to salute my generals, Mimi Plastique and Kelly. I want to give a shout out to my majors, our undercover agent V and Latanya. And a quick shout out to my master sergeant, Bronyal Jimmy. If you guys want to become a Patreon, become part of the team, become part of this movement, even if it's a couple few dollars a month, become part of the Covert Radio Army. The website's getting ready to drop any day. I only have a few more things to tweak on it. We're going to have our own special little spot on the site. It's called the War Room, for Patreons only, and that's for all the Patreons at all levels. But stay tuned for that. You guys take care. Have a good day.